Oh, what a difference one day can make after losing in heartbreaking fashion off of something we've never seen before. Hasn't happened in forever when the Phillies lost Tuesday night's ball game to the Giants off of a 3-run walk-off inside the park home run. Just heartbreaking stuff. Oh my God, it was very, very, very tough to see and tough to come to terms with, especially with Jordan Romano letting it up, who obviously is, has had his ups and downs with the Phillies in his first year with the team and has not been a fan favorite to say the least. The Phillies, they dropped the first two games of that Giants series, but they were able to salvage the series Wednesday afternoon. They won a huge, huge, huge shutout and blowout win over the Giants, 13-0. Now, they do have an off day today on Thursday as they're heading to San Diego for a big 3-game series with the Padres starting tomorrow on Friday and then, going through Sunday over the weekend, right before the All-Star break begins. Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content. As I mentioned just a few moments ago, baseball is a funny, funny sport. One day, you're not hitting, the offense is underperforming, the pitching's not great, all that kind of stuff. All the fans are questioning the team and what they need to change, the manager, everything. And then the next day they win 13-0, have 17 hits. The offense is rolling, the pitching's great, and it's just incredible just how that can flip-flop from day to day like that. And that's just how it happened for the Phillies going from Tuesday night into Wednesday. And honestly, they needed that very, very badly. So it was good to happen. They're on a high. They're riding momentum as they head into this 3-game series to wrap up the first half of the season, go into the All-Star break, come out strong, and make that playoff push in pursuit of their first World Series championship since 2008. As I said, yesterday, I should say, it was a day game. The Phillies had just 15 hits and 4 runs in the first 2 games combined of that Giants series. Obviously, lost both of those games to the Giants. The offense, going back to the Red series as well, they were 0 for 26. Sorry, I was about to sneeze. Held that up. The Phillies were 0 for 26 with runners in scoring position going into that second, as well as counting the first half of that second game with the Giants. So just weren't getting the job done with runners in scoring position, weren't able to come up clutch with those hits. Before the rookie Otto Kemp hit an RBI double in the 6th inning of Tuesday night's loss to the Giants. They broke that streak, thankfully, because that was a big talking point in the Philadelphia sports media, among the fans and all of that. So they snapped that. I think they were just 2 for 8 in that ballgame, so still not great, but they at least got, that streak out of the way. And then yesterday, after having just those 15 hits and 4 runs combined in the first 2 games of the series, they exploded for 17 hits and 13 runs in the series finale against the Giants Wednesday afternoon. They were 6 for 17, which, just saying that doesn't sound great, but that equals out to a .353 batting average with runners in scoring position in that 13-0 shutout win over the Giants yesterday. So really great stuff by the Phillies, particularly in the 8th inning of that ballgame. They were up just 4-0 before that, and then all of a sudden exploded in the 8th inning. They scored 7 of their 13 runs in that 8th inning. They picked up 2 more runs in the 9th to make it 13-0. They had 6 extra base hits total in that ballgame, including 2 home runs, one by their superstar Bryce Harper. It was a solo shot, and another one by a Kyle Schwarber, a Schwarber bomb, his second consecutive game with one. It was his 29th home run of 2025. He's right up there with the best of them in Major League Baseball in that category. In fact, he is just 2 home runs away from tying Mike Schmidt, the Hall of Fame Phillies third baseman, for the most home runs in Phillies franchise history before an All-Star break. Mike Schmidt set that record, I believe, back in 1979 with 31 home runs before the All-Star break. So Kyle Schwarber's 2 away from tying it, 3 away from breaking that record before the All-Star break. He has 3 more games to play, all against the San Diego Padres before the break. So it is realistic. It is a legitimate possibility that Kyle Schwarber can at least tie that record, if not break it. As I said, just 2 home runs to tie that record, 3 to break it. Nonetheless, Kyle Schwarber is having an incredible season for the Phillies, just an absolute, just impressive display of power. He's an all-star, so just great stuff out of him. Hopefully the Phillies and Kyle Schwarber can work out a new deal as he's in a contract year, as he's set to become a free agent after the season, because the Phillies are a much better team, a much better lineup with Kyle Schwarber in it. Now, I did mention that Bryce Harper hit a home run in yesterday's ball game. It was great to see. Obviously, Bryce Harper has not been having, a terrific season at the plate as we're accustomed to seeing out of him. He spent some time on the IL, 2 different stints. I shouldn't say 2 different stints. The one he missed about a week of play after getting hit in that elbow by Spencer Strider, but then he was missed 22 games on the IL with that wrist inflammation. So he's missed some time. He hasn't been, consistent at the plate. Those injuries have kind of lingered with him. But yesterday may have been the point of the season, the turning point of his season, where he broke out of a slump and he is turning back into who Bryce Harper is. And he sure as heck reminded us that yesterday in that ball game, in that 13-0 win over the Giants. Bryce Harper had 4 of the Phillies' 6 extra base hits in that 13-0 win, including 3 doubles and that home run. So 4 extra base hits for Bryce Harper. That's the best of his career in a single game. His home run was his 10th home run of the 2025. So he's cracked double digits in that category. And he got the best of future Hall of Fame pitcher Justin Verlander, who got the start for the Giants yesterday. Verlander wasn't great, wasn't horrible while he was in that ball game, but Bryce Harper hit 1 of his 3 doubles off of Justin Verlander, and that solo home run as well came off of Justin Verlander. Now, Harper, post-game after that 13-0 dominant win, after hitting those 4 extra base hits, including 3 doubles and a home run, Bryce Harper said that he is really good at baseball. He's among the best of them, and he is. He definitely is. When Bryce Harper is going good, we all know he is a dominant force at the plate. He is elite. He is just a superstar. He's a future Hall of Famer. And I just love that confidence. Not afraid to say that he is the best, that he is really good at the sport that he plays, that he lives and breathes, that he works in and day out. Just great confidence, great swagger by Bryce Harper. And I just absolutely love it, Harp. Attaboy, Harp. If you remember that, Braves, that whole little thing back in the day with Orlando Arcia. I actually have a t-shirt saying that. It's pretty funny. But Bryce Harper, you are really good at baseball, and he reminded us of that yesterday in that win with his incredible day at the plate. Another person who had an incredible day for the Phillies, and a large reason why that won, not on offense, but turning to the pitching side, Jesus Luzardo. Now, Jesus Luzardo, obviously, he got off to a tremendous start to his Phillies career this year. He was a National League Cy Young candidate. Then he ran into some trouble, 2 back-to-back starts where he let up a ton of hits, a ton of runs, and then he was kind of, streaky off and on for a few starts after that. But yesterday, in that win over the Giants, didn't necessarily have to be perfect with the Phillies offense, just absolutely carrying them with those 17 hits and 13 runs. But Jesus Luzardo shut down the Giants offense. He was dominant yesterday in that win. He went 7 innings, allowed just 3 hits. He had just 1 walk, 0 earned runs, obviously, and he had 7 strikeouts in those 7 innings. Plus, he picked up the win. So Jesus Luzardo looked a whole lot more like the version of the Jesus Luzardo we saw earlier this season before he hit that little midseason slump on the mound and struggled quite a bit. So hopefully Jesus Luzardo can build off of that start yesterday, going into the second half of the season, into the playoff push and into the playoffs for the Phillies, and turn back into the guy that we saw earlier this year, who was a National League Cy Young candidate and really a National League Cy Young favorite at the time. He has continued the trend recently of just elite, dominant Phillies starting pitching. Obviously, Zach Wheeler's been killing it on the mound. Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. Even you can say Taijuan Walker got the job done in Tuesday's loss to the Giants. He pitched well in his 4 innings of work. So Jesus Luzardo continues the dominant trend that the Phillies starters have been doing on the mound, and it's great to see not only for them, but for the team, as it's a strength of the team and a reason why they are one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. So hopefully Jesus Luzardo builds off of that and continues to dominate as we finish off and close out this regular season. Shifting gears as we get closer to the All-Star break, as we get closer to the July 31st trade deadline, the Phillies, one of the better teams, are going to be buyers. They're in the market for relief help, maybe outfield help, but definitely bullpen help. And one of those guys that they can look into is Washington Nationals veteran reliever Andrew Chafin. He's a 35-year-old. He's an older guy. He's a 12-year veteran in Major League Baseball. Now, he did sign with the Detroit Tigers on a minor league deal back in February. He didn't make the opening day roster. He began the year in AAA in the Tigers organization. He made 13 appearances there in AAA before he was released by the organization at the end of April. I believe it was April 30th. And then he signed with the Nationals, I believe just a day or two later on May 1st, if I remember correctly. He did miss some time with the Nationals recently due to a right hamstring strain, like half or maybe even most of June and into the beginning of July is when he returned. I believe he returned on July 4th, and he has made 3 appearances since his return. He's pitched 3 innings total in those 3 appearances. He's allowed 3 hits and 1 earned run. That 1 earned run came off of a solo home run. So he has been pretty solid for the Nationals since signing with them. He has a 3.14 ERA with 3 holds and 15 strikeouts in 14 1/3 innings in 2025. He's mostly been used between the 6th and 9th innings. I think he's really pretty equal amounts in each of those innings in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, equal appearances. So he can really be used anywhere as a middle relief kind of guy or a high leverage late inning guy. And throughout his career, he has had some pretty good strikeout rates. Not necessarily this year as much so far. As I said, he's missed some time with injury. He's older now, 35 years old, but he's still getting the job done in the bullpen for the Nationals. He's a left-handed reliever, so there's that. The Phillies could use another one of those. And honestly, if they were to trade for a guy like Andrew Chafin, like I said, he's an older guy, a veteran, a 35-year-old. He could be kind of like that Tanner Banks type of trade that they made last year. Obviously, they traded for Carlos Estevez, which was their bigger trade for the bullpen. But then they got Tanner Banks, who was kind of like a forgotten lower-ish level type of trade. Brought him in. He was pretty solid. He's pretty solid again this year in 2025. So Andrew Chafin can provide them that, maybe even a little bit better version of Tanner Banks, of how he came over and pitched last year. Chafin is going to be a free agent after the season, just a 1-year deal he signed with the Nationals mid-season this year. So there's that. The Nationals clearly are going to be sellers if teams are calling for them. They are in last place in the National League East, so not going to be making the playoffs unless something crazy happens for them in the second half of the season. And a guy like Andrew Chafin is somebody that they're not going to be attached to. They picked him up mid-season. He's 35 years old. He's on a 1-year cheap deal. So if a team wants him, a team is going to be able to get him. And a team like the Phillies, who needs bullpen help, who could use a left-handed reliever, should be calling the phones for a guy like Andrew Chafin. He's not going to require that much in return. So definitely someone to keep an eye on. Definitely a realistic option for the Phillies in the bullpen. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the off day with the Phillies. And hopefully they can get this another big series win back on track after losing that series against the Giants. But build off of that 13-0 win yesterday. Get a series win against the Padres, going to the All-Star break on a high, riding momentum, and carry that over into the second half of the season. Again, thank you guys for watching. And as always, go Phils.